Hello, this is Philip Tirone with 720 System Strategies. NACBA takeaways from the National Association of Consumer Bankruptcy Attorneys. We just came back from the conference in Los Angeles, and I have many of the bankruptcy attorneys who are in attendance on this call. And I asked them, what's your greatest takeaway? What's your greatest takeaway from NACBA 2025?
I think the most profound that I took away is the rise of AI for the future. I think that is going to revolutionize our practice, revamp all our offices.
I think you're hearing this from someone who's been to 28 NACBAs. 28 NACBAs.
Yes.
Right? Thank you, David. Appreciate
Well,
it. Yeah, go ahead.
1996 through 2025, and I missed one. So
Okay.
I guess that's pretty close.
We're close. We're close. Thank you, David.
Okay.
Okay, Shawn Devries. David Babel said AI, right? We've had conversations about how you use AI with your team, right?
Absolutely,
Like
on a daily basis.
Like
Every day
daily
we're using
basis, you
AI.
have to run every email, everything through a chat GPT thing. Can you give us that framework first, and then we'll pivot to your NACBA wins?
Yeah, sure. So first and foremost, all my emails that go out of my office are ran through AI. What does it do? One, can draft an email much quicker than I ever could. Two, I know that it's going to be punctually accurate. And three, I can dictate the tone of that email and based on the client. So I now have all my staff using AI to dictate emails out to clients. And again, it's just for ease of use, efficiency.
And the thing is, when it comes to AI, you can just talk through it. So I'm going to do a quick example. I'd like to give an email to Shawn Devries. Shawn, thanks for being on the strategy call today. I'd like to follow up with a conversation on how we can have a YouTube video on how you're using AI in your law firm and be more specific. Second of all, when can we jump on the calendar to talk about the lead conversion? Let me know. And it drafts it for me. Here's the email. Obviously, Shawn spelled wrong, right? It's not perfect, but it's a heck of a lot faster and extremely, it moves the ball. But you also have put people in once, you write something, they're running it through there just to make sure it's grammatically correct, right?
Correct. I mean, they're never really writing an email. They're just running it through there exactly how your thoughts were. We use a little bit more prompt engineering, we'd say, but that's just one use of AI that we use. The second one, and I see it already in here, Phil, is we use a program called Otter AI, which transcribes phone calls and meetings, and it summarizes that for us. So what this has done for my firm is it's a good CYA, right? If I had a client tell me today that, no, I never told her this. Well, I can go back to that log and say, here's the summary of our call. This is exactly when I told that to you. Within the bankruptcy practice, one thing that I've recently done, which is really cool, we essentially do a mock 341 meeting with our clients. I've used AI to almost 100% completely accurately. I'd say it was probably 90% accurate. Design the questions for that client that the trustee asked at that meeting by analyzing financial records, bank statements, every taxes and whatnot. So there wasn't any surprises going into that 341 meeting. Not that there usually is, especially for our practice, other practitioners out there, but it just streamlined the process for that for me.
Great. Okay, let's pivot off AI. What's your biggest takeaway from NACBA?
Collegiality. For me, this is my third NACBA event. The collegiality of really getting together with a bunch of other bankruptcy attorneys and brainstorming. I always come back with some takeaways. This year for me, it was really how to fix my intake system through the 720 group and kind of utilizing Rich Mack, not only through his process and 3 pillars, but also helping with my agents help facilitate that conversation a little bit more.
Don Golden was there. And let Don start with your biggest takeaway from NAC, but then I'm going to pivot to the other one.
Okay, so I think there were 2 for me. One is that student loan adversaries are not dead.
Yes.
I had a
Yes.
bunch. I had a bunch that were stuck, and I was concerned about the future of the student loan adversary process. That gave me hope that it will continue, and I have some verification of that because today DOJ just reached out on one of my cases, and they didn't offer me a full settlement yet, but a big partial one, a big one. and they're still open to some more information to give us a full discharge. So, but NACBA reaffirmed the fact that the student loan adversary process is not dead. But the second one is that social media advertising is, to me, king right now. It's king, and that's how I use AI. I do TikTok videos, but I use ChatGPT. I give ChatGPT the idea that I want and give it a structure of kind of what I want to say, and then I get a script basically from ChatGPT, including hooks and hashtags and stuff like that we can use in our social media posts.
Well, that's awesome.
It really saves me a bunch of time, because that's one of the hardest part for me, is putting the mental energy into coming up with the detailed content. I could come up with the ideas, but then to get the detailed content, it's kind of cumbersome. So I've started using ChatGPT to help me saves a lot of time.
Some of you are going to get Don's leads in other places that he can't file yet pretty soon. So Don, it's so good to see you. Thanks for that. And by the way, on student loans, that was my big takeaway, actually. Like I created my list because I thought it was dead. I had Ken Neely in Arizona doing hundreds of adversaries, Luke Holman's slaying it in Oklahoma and Texas doing it. And then they just stopped. And I tried to get Igor on this call. I'm going to get a call with Igor from Strato, who knows a lot about this, but it's happening. It is happening. And it really depends on the state attorney, right? Is that the key?
I don't know. I mean, because I only deal with one,
Okay.
so I can't say that for certain. I just think that Department of Ed has been it's been staffed so much that it's taking forever. You know what I mean? And that's just the thing. I was discouraged and thinking it was gone.
Yeah.
But when they said that particular part wasn't erased by the administration, I just realized now that it's just going to take a long time because they have fewer people to review things.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I think is going on.
Don, thanks for joining us. Good
Yes,
feedback.
thank you.
Talk to you soon. Okay, Shawn, I said state attorney, and you put and your judges. Shawn, how's it going?
It's going very well.
Good.
And just on that point, it was to my surprise at one of the meetings earlier this year that there were certain judges who were very receptive to attorneys bringing these actions. And, I'm so glad you did this and you got this person the relief. And if they'd been in the 13, they would have, they didn't have to pay on it. But at the end, the judge recognized that at the end, they would have had all this more interest on top. And so hopefully that'll, those judges will keep going to conferences with other ones and it'll kind of spread. And then overall, the environment will be more amenable to us bringing these actions because it used to exist, just changed. It got shrunk down in 95 and 2005. So it's not overly foreign to have relief for student loans. And I have an 18-year-old and I looked at his tuition for the same college I went to and it is triple. So these loans are not going to be smaller. They are just going to keep getting bigger.
Good deal. Thanks for that, Shawn. Okay, your biggest takeaway from one or two biggest takeaways, NACBA 2025.
Mine's super nerdy. Sorry about this. But there was a presentation at the second luncheon or the second keynote by Judge Kevin Anderson, who had one called New Norm or Calm Before the Storm, of which John Orcutt, my dad, didn't enjoy, but then I thought was wildly interesting. But I remember taking a class in multivariate linear regression, and the judge identified a whole bunch of factors, and I'll get through real quick, like unemployment, unsecured or secured credit and consumer debt, foreclosures, repossession, student loans. And the only thing he didn't do was tie them all together, which I think I'm going to work on doing because it has to be a little bit like predicting the weather. We have to get better at this. And the reason why this is important to our practices is I like that we're up 10% and I hate that I don't know why. Because that means that I'm vulnerable to also being down 10% and not knowing why. And I would want to attribute it to, wait, is our marketing working better? Did it get more traction? Or, did someone just move the Ouija board and we can't see? But I think there's interesting factors. And I think the next one, as you already brought up with student loans, Those going into collections, if we looked at the numbers over the past 6 months, collection rates were pretty low. People got used to not paying those.
Yeah.
It's since 2020, and then those payments are bigger because I don't think they pushed the back end. They just squished it and it went all up higher. That was my primary one.
I remember that luncheon and that speech. And what you're saying is everything, all the markers were up, right? Is that right? What they were?
People are having more debt and more like unsecured debt. And so that's a marker in our favor. But the marker against us is even though interest rates are going down, we're not seeing, we're not seeing foreclosures. Banks may have learned something since 2008. They don't want to increase their inventory. But repossessions are going up. And the hard part is putting these all together to figure out, because we've got markers, some going down and some going up. But in general, it's still going up. And I think it's possible to sort of put all those together because like the unemployment one was really spot on. It was above and below bankruptcy filings, but it moved together like a perfect little snake.
So you're going to put together, you're going to try to analyze all that
I
from
did
a
I did it
mathematical
before.
perspective.
I'm going
and
to
get
try to
back.
summon
Okay.
2005 me to
Okay.
see if I can figure out the math.
So when you do, Shawn, we're going to have a private video. We'll record it. We'll get it out to the masses. We want your brain.
Well, and it is important because it would be an early warning system of, wheel or woe. If things are going to get better or get worse, because, a good problem to have is more filings. A bad problem at the same time is I don't have the capacity.
Yeah.
And then I'm turning people away.
Yeah. Well, good deal, Shawn. Thank you. Anything else you want to talk about NACBA takeaways?
No, those are the big ones. There's some more with AI, and just to point on your AI things is what the other Shawn brought up is it's AI is very good at the narrow functions. Like if you think of chess and emails, and where it has developed the most is in language and summaries, and just using it discreetly in your software, maybe to analyze all of your case notes or all of your information, and then giving you summaries or having calls recorded and then summarized could save you a lot of time because many of us can read faster than we can listen to things. And then having it proof all of your work going out is, the more communication you have with the client, the better, and the higher quality, even better.
Thank you, Shawn. Appreciate you.
Certainly.
Good to see you.
You too.
Julie O'Brien, biggest takeaway NACBA 2025.
Again, just echoing what my colleagues have said, student loans, the dischargeability of those was a huge eye opener. My takeaway was that I think we can't tell our clients anymore that they just are non-dischargeable and just deal with that on your own, which is what I've always told my clients. Someone even said it might have been Igor in that session that could even be malpractice. So what I did when I came home is I created a 3-step process. Step 1, and this is all using Stretto and Igor's portal. So step 1, I used AI to create a marketing script, which was perfect. I used Claude. That's the one I use sometimes. Mm-hmm. Anyway, they wrote the marketing script that I can now send to my current chapter 13 clients and even past clients. But the 3-step process would be step 1, a free 2-minute analysis. I just did this yesterday with a client and she passed. It took 2 minutes to type in household income, expenses, etc. And then step 2 is a $250 is what I'm going to be charging. And I've already got 2 people on the books for that. And I haven't even marketed. So I can't imagine how busy we're going to be with this $250 charge to run them through the more in-depth analyzer. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then if they recommend it, and the selling point is that, hey, I'm using a third-party software who's independently looking at your information. It's not just me telling you what I think. None of this, of course, is guaranteed. But if this third-party program recommends filing an AP. Then we move on to step 3. And then the charge is going to be $2,500. Some people, like maybe John Orcutt's office, they're charging a lot more than that. And I have the forms that he made available from the NACBA conference, all the contracts, all the legal services agreements for this add-on are there in the NACBA materials. But anyway, the step 3 would be the $2,500, and that obviously comes with a no guarantee. But 2 things: A, that could be part of their Chapter 7. So if their baseline fee is $2,000, and then they pay the $250, or I may give them credit for the $250. That if they pay the $2,500, that's about a $4,500 fee for Chapter 7. Or, and I haven't done this, I'm thinking about it. File a Chapter 13 and pay 10 cents on the dollar. Put all the student loans in the plan, and file the AP while you're in the Chapter 13, and put the attorney fees for the AP part in the plan. And at the end of 5 years, you get a discharge. Hopefully, if the DOJ accepts the AP and declares it to be dischargeable. So that's something we've never done before. And I'm excited about that.
So one thing I want to point out on the $250 charge, right? That's when you're taking them through the full Stretto software. Made sure that they pull their NSLDS file before that meeting.
Okay.
Because we've done so many of these internally because I wanted to learn about it.
Right.
The biggest problem is, per the law, the attorney can't pull the NSLDS file, right?
Right.
So you have to, and if the client shows up without the NSLDS file, it's clunky. It's like you're on Zoom, you go here.
Got it.
The meeting goes from 20 minutes to like an hour.
Love that. Thank you.
So the key thing is, and the other thing, Luke Holman taught me this. He's like, look, I don't worry if the client doesn't show up with the NSLDS file, because I want someone who's tech savvy enough to pull the NSLDS file. Then they're not, if they're not, they're not a client.
Right.
And so anyways, the NSLDS file is what they get from studentaid.gov, which shows everything which you need for Stratos software.
Absolutely.
So anyways, that's great, Julie. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Anything else on NACBA?
Yeah. I connected with the Larry Freeman and Shawn from Invoigo.
Yeah, Invoigo.
What I did not know was that the Eastern District, where I practice, they actually were allowing the bifurcation of these cases in Chapter 7. We got shut down with Fresh Start funding 4 or 5 years ago, and our judge is like, nah, I'm not doing that. But what I learned from NACBA is that they are doing it in the Eastern District. I can't believe I didn't know that. And they're doing it in Southern District. So we signed up with them, and I'm going to try to move some of our non-paid in fulls who are in those jurisdictions, move them forward, perhaps by using that funding group. We could probably do that ourselves, but I don't really want to be in the business of trying to collect money from clients post filing. So we'll probably use them, and I'm excited about that.
When we recorded with Larry, and we sent out a couple of videos about him, we're releasing, I think it's this week or next week, on that Invoigo, specifically how they do it, because it's distinctively different than BK billing. As like a quick summary, BK billing came in early on. Bifurcation was like Florida with Clark and Washington,
right?
And debt stoppers in Chicago. BK billing opened up the finance to everybody, but they lent to everyone, and they caused a lot of drama. And then Fresh Start funding came in. Now they're out of business, but they were both factoring.
Right.
And Boygo does it differently because they deposit into your bank account. So
yeah, I'm excited to use them. So
Julie, thanks for that feedback.
Those are my 2 takeaways.
Great. Okay. Good to see you, Julie.
Good seeing you.
Okay.
I think my takeaway from NACBA was just the enthusiasm. I felt like I walked away feeling like bankruptcy's back, baby. Like, here we go. And it just, that energy just permeated every program I was in. It was all of the hallway conversations. People are excited because we're filing, and just, I can't wait to build on that energy, because it's really, it's invigorating. I came home not exhausted, even though I got very little sleep. I came home really excited to get busy, and I love that.
Terry, I cannot agree with you more. It wasn't on my list, but the energy was completely shifted. This NACBA versus others, like
Totally.
like all of a sudden it's like, okay, great. Like things are happening, debtors are awake, debtors are moving. We can actually service the clientele. We don't have all these massive headwinds against us. So
Totally.
thank you. Anything else?
No, that's it. I'm
No,
excited.
student
We're
loans and
moving.
energy. And congratulations on being NACBA's newest board member.
Thank you so much.
Okay, good deal. Thanks, Tara. Aimee Melich from Florida, our newest influencer. She's got a vibrant TikTok channel, and
TikTok.
she is going to be delivering leads to all of you around the country. Aimee, your greatest takeaway from NACBA 2025?
I was so excited because I have gone to like Clio and stuff like that, and it's always been very general, and I had never been to like a bankruptcy conference. And there's so many things that like I wasn't even providing for my clients, I didn't know about existed. So there's so many things. There's like the Straddle student loan I'm super excited about. I've been like, since we got back, I have been like working on my engagement letters, working on my text messages to clients, like my automations, all these things. I've changed like everything in the law firm based on everything I gathered. So I love the Ash Auto and getting my clients. I actually had a client who was like, oh, what am I supposed to do? I need a car. My car broke down. I'm surrendering. And I had no options for him. I was really like, I don't know. You're going to have to go around to dealers. And now I can be like, hey, call these guys. Like, I have a plan for everybody. And I'm super excited about that because I want that to be the vision of my firm. Like, I want to help everybody. I want to get them like a good credit score. I want them to get a car that, you know, it's affordable and they can do. I want them, if they have student loans, to get them discharged. The Emboigo, I signed up with them too. So I'm going to work with them to do the bifurcation. I know here in Miami, there's a lot of people in very different ranges of, income. So Emboigo is going to help my clients that are, they want to go with me, but I'm on the higher end of like my competition. And that's something that's going to be able to help them get filed. Obviously with you, working with you, I'm excited about that. So yeah.
Good deal, Aimee. Well, Aimee, thank you so much. Anything else? So basically bankruptcy specific compared to like Clio conferences and, just resources, basically what you're saying.
Yeah, and so many connections. I made friends with everybody. So I'm really excited to have this connection going. I've stayed friends with a couple people on Facebook and messaging and stuff like that. So I'm very excited. I'll be at the one in the fall, hopefully.
Oh, in Dallas. Yeah, there's one in fall in Dallas, and then next year is Boston.
No, yeah. And then the Maui one too. I want to do that one.
It goes Dallas, Boston, Maui.
Yeah, I want to do all of those.
Yeah, NACBA is definitely stepping up. Thank you, Aimee.
Okay, no problem.
This is something that we just rolled out. So bankruptcy leaders, and the nice thing about this is, if you're growing your practice, you need to know the scoreboard. Like, how can you compete and know what your clients are doing if you don't know what the scoreboard is? But what this is going to do is you're going to be able to click on the state, and you're going to be able to see on the day how many cases were filed on the day. So in Louisiana, Carl Michael Hilo filed 4, and this is going to be free for anyone who wants this on the day, right? If you want month to date, it requires an account, but this is something that's going to be very accessible. See what your competition is doing. This is going to be on a daily basis so you can watch what the leaderboard is. And this is something that we put together with Glade AI, Kieran over at Glade, and then myself and Ash. And it's just a cool way to sort of like watch what's happening in real time. Of course, if you have any questions, I'm a phone call away. Thank you for joining us, and we will talk to you guys soon. Bye, everybody.